Chapter 7. The afternoon sun blazed fiercely over Jerusalem, casting an unrelenting light on the bustling street as the Bates and Angelo's families made their way through the crowd. They were dressed in the finest attire, with the notable exception of Matt, who evidently didn't feel the need to dress up for this occasion. Still, he was clean and casual and looked confident. Hogan walked alongside Phoenix, casting frequent, disapproving glances back at Matt, who was several paces behind them and not paying them any attention at all. He looked happy and talked to the vendors as they passed by.
"Why is he here?"
Hogan's voice was low and tinged with irritation. Phoenix, maintaining a calm demeanor, replied, "They've brainwashed him in the desert. This is his chance to see things for himself. Let him witness the kings. Truth has a way of winning people over." His gaze flicked toward Abigail, who was walking on her own, looking at the wares people were selling on the sidewalk. As they wove through the crowded streets, militia patrols acknowledged Phoenix with respectful nods, leading the families through the sea of spectators and vendors. Hogan tapped Phoenix on the shoulder and pointed to a preacher standing on a stack of crates nearby.
"Tell the boys to sweep the street. Looks like some are still slipping through,"
Hogan instructed.
"On it,"
Phoenix replied, signaling to his men. The preacher's voice, amplified by a makeshift speaker, cut through the noise of the crowd.
"My brothers, my sisters, surrender to God. The time is at hand. The prophecy will be fulfilled.
Yeshua is coming back.
Be ready. 7 years of torment about to come. These are the 10 kings spoken of by the prophet Daniel and the apostle John. They will lure you with their lies. You are the lambs for the slaughter. He who has ears to hear, hear."
Hogan's hand twitched toward his gun as shouts of treason erupted from the crowd. Phoenix calmed him down. "Just watch." A squad of militia moved in to drag the preacher away. Arriving at the temple, the militia stood in vigilant formation, checking papers and saluting Hogan, Phoenix, and Josh with clenched fists. The 3 men returned the gesture.
"Any trouble, and you?"
Hogan began, turning to Phoenix.
"I know. 0 tolerance."
Phoenix responded curtly. He knew his job. He didn't need to be reminded of it every time an opportunity presented itself.
"Good. It's really a shame that your mother couldn't have been here to see this day, especially considering, well, she would have loved to have seen this."
A red ribbon adorned the entryway, and a sea of spectators filled the raised seating in front of the temple. The 10 kings were seated above, waiting for the ceremony to commence. Hogan and Josh stepped onto the stage, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Josh, though clearly overwhelmed, tried to maintain a composed demeanor, while Hogan basked in the alteration, leaning into the microphone.
"Hail the kings!"
The crowd responded with fervent chants, their fisted salutes punctuating the air.
"Hail the kings! Hail the kings! Hail the kings!"
Hogan adjusted his uniform, smoothing it down as he prepared to address the crowd.
"Brothers and sisters, I am General Hogan Bates. Our team has worked tirelessly to build this magnificent temple in honor of our holy kings and the worldwide unity they've brought us, as outlined by Ezekiel and led by his Jewish man, Joshua Angelos.
Josh shot Hogan a sidelong glance, his eyes narrow. The general continued.
Ex-Jewish man, Joshua Angelos. To make it official, we needed a person of Jewish heritage to fulfill the design requirements.
The crowd applauded.
This temple stands as a symbol of a united world and will serve as the new headquarters for our 10 kings.
The crowd erupted once more in chants, pumping their fists in the air.
Hail the kings!
Photographers and press captured the scene from a distance, and drones buzzed overhead. Josh scanned the crowd, spotting Rachel and Abigail among the clapping and cheering faces. Matt, however, remained silent, his gaze distant and critical. It was to be expected. His sister's cheering was muted, but his mother was fully involved. As the ceremony continued, Matt lifted his water bottle to his mouth. As he took a sip, he murmured out of the corner of his mouth so only his sister would hear. A sacred place, originally meant to honor Yahweh, is now used by those trying to erase him. Ironic. His mother overheard and shushed him sharply. Matt, enough! I don't want to hear any more of this treason, especially not now. Abigail subtly took her brother's hand and squeezed it just once. Matt's eyes darted around. Each of them is more corrupt and wicked than the next. Abigail, her anxiety evident, squeezed his hand again, hissing, You're going to get us locked up. Matt gave her a skeptical look. Phoenix won't let anything happen to you. You know that. Abigail looked puzzled. What are you talking about? You know what I'm talking about. I have eyes. Abigail's scowl deepened. Matt sighed, drinking some more water. Not to worry. I doubt I'm getting the boot after today anyway. Abigail squeezed his hand a third time before lifting it to clap along with the crowd at whatever Hogan had been saying. She hadn't been listening. Matt's prediction weighed heavy on her heart, but she tried to ignore it. The crowd performed the fisted salute once more, their voices chanting in unison. Hail the 10 kings! Hail the 10 kings! Hail the 10 kings! The kings, seated in their elevated positions, acknowledged the cheers. Titan, a solid, towering 7-foot man, jet black hair slicked back, took the stage with a commanding presence. His charisma was undeniable as he addressed the crowd. Thank you, General. Titan began, turning to face the audience. I am Titan, your admiral, known as the Man of War, or the Beast of War by some. Titan smiled as he paused for the cheers. Many of you know I come from Istanbul. But why am I here in Jerusalem? Because this city has always been my second home. My parents, you see, hailed from the Jewish tribe of Dan. He paused deliberately, a knowing smile on his face. Notice that I said my parents, not myself. For I am the offspring of someone far greater. The crowd applauded with excitement. It is my honor to serve as the military secretary for our 10 kings. Throughout history, so many senseless battles have been waged in the name of religion. How fitting, then, that the very faith born here thousands of years ago meets its end today. The applause grew louder. It has been under 2,000 years since the last temple trumpet sounded. Today marks the Feast of Trumpets. And once more, a trumpet
will sound.
But this time, it heralds not division, but true peace for us all. Titan savored the moment, his smile widening. This temple, my friends, stands as a symbol of our unity, our true strength. No more religion, no more conflict. From this day forward, everything and everyone under the reign of the 10 Kings. The crowd erupted in thunderous applause as Titan pointed up toward the 10 Kings seated above. A map of the world projected onto the sky showed 10 distinct regions. As each king stood, their respective region illuminated, bathing the sky in light. After the last king stood, a loud shofar trumpet sounded. Suddenly, the sky darkened rapidly. The sun was cloaked in a sackcloth of coal black, while the moon glowed blood red, casting an eerie shadow over the temple and its ecstatic spectators.